Question from Meshal. The LDO output is 0.8 instead of 1.8. What do you think is the cause? Well, first, you'd need to look at your input of that LDO. You can also look at the surrounding resistance, make sure and compare against another domain that the resistance values are good. And if that remains, it is possible that you have some kind of short on that domain. So you would have to find the chip that's, most of the time it can be a chip. It can also be capacitors. I've seen that. Capacitors on the 1.8 line that shorts. So look at the capacitors on the 1.8 lane and look at the chips that are on the way. Yeti Crap asking, saying, really enjoying your videos and I happy you enjoy. So we'll keep on doing those more and more. So this board just doesn't want to give up. I'm at 16 volts now. Let's try to decrease even more. And we might be onto something. All right. So now I'm at 15.5 volt. Test is still running. Let's go ahead and see what we can measure. So this here is still good. RX here is weak. So we know the problem should be between those two domains. Let's go ahead here, 1.7. So this, it should be on this domain that we have an issue. Let me go and see. 1.7, 1.7, 1.7, 1.7, and final but not least, 1.6. Oh, I think this one was lower though. And all the other chips are giving me 1.7. This one is moving a bit. It's something that I've seen, even though it's close, especially when it's moving like that. It might be this chip that's really just bad enough for the board not to work. And if we go back to this one here, see, stable 1.7 here. But if I go down one, keeps on moving. So makes me think this chip might be, you know, working, not working, working, not working. And so this is what we're seeing. This is why decreasing the voltage is allowing us to find some sick chips there. Let's try to decrease just a bit further and see if we can get something decisive. So we're now at 15 volts. Let me go back one chip up here. Still at 1.7 and pretty stable still. Remember, we're now at 15 volts, so it's normal we start to see some instability, but this chip is even more out. So let's try to keep this here and see if we decrease even further. Can we get it to give up? I'm now at 14 volts, and you can see the noise coming out from that chip, pretty flagrant. Let's go back to the one just one step up. You see even this chip is starting to be a bit unstable now. 1.7. Yeah, so we got instability everywhere now. So the first chip we managed to find that instability is this one here. So this is the one we'll change, and we'll try to see what it says after. All right, let me read quick the comments there. So how can I know which capacitor is bad for the LDO? Well, you can look for shorts. So just use your negative probe, you know, to ground yourself on the board, ground to the board ground. And use the other one with continuity and try to measure both sides of the capacitor. Only one side should be ringing because only one side should be connected to ground. So that's one way. You can also measure the continuity on your capacitors. You can, what else can you do? I know there's a trick the guys are using a lot of times. Let me try to remember. Obviously, you could also use diode testing where you measure. So let me bring the microscope there. So see those capacitors, right? Well, I'm not on the right one. This one here? Is that the one? No, this one here. All right. So say you look at those capacitors here at the bottom of the domain, right? So those two capacitors are your 0.8 and 1.8. So you could look at the diode measurement, and if there's a short on that domain, it should show up on your diode test. So those are some tricks you can look for.